All right, so very, very excited today. I have an amazing opportunity, amazing interview here with Mrs. Hurst. And so a little bit about myself to begin. I'm Dan, I'm a teacher. I'm here with the Teacher Charity League. We are a fantasy football league that is built about raising money and donating 100% of every cent taken in, donating to a charity that is going out to support students. We're a group of teachers from around the country, and we just want to do everything we can to help students in need. So being able to pair with you today is a really amazing opportunity.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for asking me to be on, and I appreciate all that you and the teachers are doing this year, especially with the craziness from the pandemic. I know you've had to change the way you teach and having that connection with your students and in the classroom. So it's just, I commend everyone for the work you're doing and for hanging in there in such a challenging time.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an interesting year, to say the least, I would say.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. For all of us.
Yes, for sure. For sure. All right. So, I think we can get going here. So I have my questions here. Just make sure I answer them and ask them in the right way. So, I think more and more people have become aware of the Hayden Hurst Foundation over the course of the pandemic, but especially due to the Breaking the Stigma video that the Falcons released. Can you share a little bit about the origins of your foundation? Was this something that was put in place leading up to when Hayden was drafted, or is there another event afterwards that kind of spurred its creation?
So we actually, unfortunately, had some tragedies in our family. So Hayden's uncle took his life by suicide, and then his cousin, who was from the same family, he died by suicide 4 years later. And when Hayden was struggling, and you see that in the video, in his baseball career, because he originally was drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates to play baseball. And he struggled because he lost control of the ball. He couldn't feel the ball in his hand, and it's a condition called the yips. And so he struggled and tried to overcome it for like 3.5 years. And he finally he was with the pitching coach, and the pitching coach said, "Hayden, I've never seen anybody try to overcome something like this. What are you passionate about?" And he goes, "I really miss football." So he goes, "Well, go play football." And of course, I thought he was crazy, because I thought he should, hang in there, tough it out. And he said, "Mom, it's just not working out for me." So, so he left that and walked on at University of South Carolina to play football. He thought he left everything, all his problems behind, but he was still drinking and unfortunately doing drugs. And he realized after he attempted to take his life that he had a chemical imbalance in his brain. And when you combine that with depressants like alcohol and drugs, it just exacerbates the situation. And he just got so low at that one night and just wanted the pain to go away anyway and however. And unfortunately, he didn't reach out to our family. He just internalized it. And that's really part of the reasons why he wanted to do this foundation, because he wanted to equip young people and help them understand that it's okay not to be okay. I know that quote is used a lot when you discuss mental health, and just to know that you're a good person no matter what. Someone loves you. And you may feel in a situation, whether it's breaking up with a girlfriend, or for Hayden, just all of the loss of his first love, which was baseball, and to lose that and not understand why, it all piled up on him. And so, but thank goodness he got a second chance at life. And so when he got drafted by the Ravens and was their number one, the 25th pick of the first round in 2018, he said, "Mom, I want you to retire. I want to start a foundation, and I want to help young people realize their potential, and to know that even an NFL player is not perfect. And I have my anxiety." And what I love is the NFL has jumped behind this cause recently, with the owner of the Indianapolis Colts, Mr. Irsay. He had a Kicking the Stigma campaign just last week, raising money on mental health. And he did a panel interview, and Hayden was one of 4 other NFL players that spoke openly about how important mental health is and a little bit of their stories or journeys. So I'm thrilled that Hayden is one voice of many now that is really allowing people the opportunity to see that not everybody, no one's perfect, and that we all have things to work on and can improve upon. So I hope that helps.
No, it does. That's amazing. And, that's amazing, with what Mr. Irsay is doing in that panel. And a little actually background for myself. So I played college baseball. So yeah, the yips can be a terrifying thing. So even, when I was watching the video and when he was explaining that, and then knowing about minor league baseball and, they're teammates, but they're not always teammates. So then the ostracism, that was, I could identify with how difficult that was on kind of the baseball level of it as well.
Oh, it was crazy because I know Dan Pompey with the Players Tribune, he did an article several years ago on Hayden, and it was at our house. And I'll never forget because Dan said, "Hey, Hayden, will you go out in the backyard and throw the baseball?" And I immediately was like, because he hadn't really picked up a baseball and thrown it. So didn't know how he was going to react. But it's crazy how when he didn't have that pressure on himself to perform, he could throw it. So I'm sure if he went out on a baseball field now, he could probably still throw a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Yeah. But after that, I don't know what would happen.
That's amazing. So now that the foundation is actually a few years old, what is kind of your favorite accomplishment, or what are you most proud of in your, the short infancy that you guys have been alive so far as a foundation? What are you guys most proud of?
Well, so the foundation is Hayden, myself, and Yelena, who you met earlier, and that's it. Oh, wow. And, we don't have a big staff. And because of my past life, if you will, in sales, I did it for 38 years. It's just been amazing because the sales world is very competitive. So if you were one of my competitors, I wouldn't want to talk to you or share things with you. And what's amazing is in the foundation world, we all share ideas. And I mean, I'm not afraid. So I go and I've reached out to Connie Watt, and who's JJ Watt's mom, and they have a foundation. And then I've reached out to Debbie Phelps, Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer. I've reached out to his mom, and just so many organizations. And what I love is we share ideas, and we're all over the country. And those are just some of them. There's so many more foundations that I've gotten connected with, and we feed off of each other and we share ideas, and because our mission is to help and get this conversation out there. We can talk about, I could sit here today and tell you, oh, I've got a sinus infection and I feel bad. But if I tell you, Dan, I'm really kind of anxious today, I feel like I'm going to jump out of my skin, you may feel uncomfortable about it. We've got to take those barriers down and allow people to be able to talk about it. And if we as adults can't do it, how the heck are we going to expect young people to embrace it?
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on. And that's something that, I get to talk about with my students a lot of, as a younger generation, they seem better equipped or they seem better to talk about it than a lot of us as adults do. So it's almost like, also being aware and being able to learn from them and see, there is acceptance of this. We can all learn more about it and be better at it, but, also view these young people as leaders, because a lot of them are.
Absolutely. And they certainly are. And I commend them for being brave and stepping out and being vulnerable. That's a word we use all the time, is it's okay to just show your vulnerability. And you as a teacher, being able to say, hey guys, I'm going to be talking about something today and I'm not really comfortable with it because I struggled with it growing up. And for you to be that open with your students, what do you think? How do you think they're going to react? They're going to be, wow, if Dan can do, I can do this.
Yeah.
So that's what's so wonderful. These kids have opened up so much and shared so much with us.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so it's great. As much as, you know, I'm teaching every day, there's always learning going on the opposite direction, which is really amazing. So you've obviously, right, as a foundation have helped a lot of people and just helped open the discussion and everything about mental health awareness. But how's it helped you and your family and, you know, being in this world and looking back at yourself now?
Well, I mean, our family is very close, and because of Hayden's attempted suicide, we're even more aware. And I mean, he certainly hasn't had a straight and narrow path. I mean, he was with the Baltimore Ravens, and he wasn't playing as much because he had an injury in preseason, and then he was kind of the backup tight end, which isn't what he signed up for, if you will. I mean, he was their #1 tight end, so he wanted to play. And he got traded to the Atlanta Falcons, and now there's a totally new coaching staff, and the Falcons picked up a tight end at their #4 pick in the first round. So it's been a challenge for Hayden because he worked so hard, and part of his release of anxiety is workouts. And so he jumps in that weight room wholeheartedly. And so now he has more ammunition because there's this young 20-year-old coming in that's a tight end. And but yet he knows he has so much to offer. And then the Falcons did not pick up his 5th-year option. So he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So there's all these little dominoes, if you will, that have impacted it. So our family is always checking on each other. Our Hayden's older sister, our oldest, is a veterinarian in Atlanta. And what's crazy is I found out that veterinarians have a very high suicide rate, because think about it. The animals can't really tell them what's wrong. Owners are always going, well, why is this costing $500? You know, it's just a dog, but it's just the cost. And so it's very hard. And which is awesome, there's veterinarian groups that get together through social media, and they help each other with their mental wellness. So that's exciting. But, you know, we're always kind of checking in on each other and making sure, because I would never want Hayden to go down that dark rabbit hole again, ever. And so he knows that that's how we feel, and we're there for him no matter what. If he were to walk away from football tomorrow, he's our son, and we love him no matter what. And so I would say it's just helped bring us closer together, that we're more aware. And as a parent, I've learned to not try to solve everything, but to listen and be like, okay, Hayden, I can tell you're stressed out. What can I do to help you? Versus in the past, it'd always be like, well, why don't you try this, Hayden? Or why don't you do that? So, you know, hey, I'm a parent, and I'm still learning how to parent. So life is not, when we stop learning, I think that's when we give up. So I'm always learning.
Yep. That's actually one of my future questions as well. So I guess I can jump forward, because why not? I'm also a parent. My son is almost 1 at this point too. So yeah, I'll have more questions for you at the end of what do I do? And I know, I guess there's a couple other tight ends here in New England, but as a Patriots fan, Hayden's a very good player. So if you wanted to play next year, you know, just keep the options in mind.
Absolutely. Listen, there are 32 teams, and if the Falcons don't see how great he is at the end of this year, somebody else will.
Yes, yes. So I noticed, you know, working through your website, the Randy Pausch quote, you know, playing the cards that you're dealt is seen in a couple of different places. So actually in my AP Psych class, we watch his last lecture, the short video on Oprah, and yeah, you know, waterworks. It's very powerful.
Yes.
You know, is there something specific, you know, you guys seem to latch on to that, I think, that quote a little bit. Is there something from that speech that really speaks to you in the foundation?
Well, I think just the statement about, you know, you have to understand the cards you're dealt are there. And how you handle the situation is completely up to you. And I mean, through Hayden's life and journey, I mean, we actually have a picture of him looking out on a river with that on the bottom of it. And we have it in our house because it means so much to him that you persevere. Don't let, my daughter has a saying or a statement she makes in that video, you know, don't make permanent decisions out of temporary feelings. And if I could just put that on a dry erase board or whatever for students to reflect on that every day. When you wake up in the morning, don't let permanent decisions today, or don't let them affect your temporary decisions, make a permanent one out of it. Yeah. So that's so important for kids to realize that. And I think that's why the Randy Posh is so important to Hayden, is just the fact that, hey, he's in Atlanta. He's a free agent at the end of the year. He's got these challenges. There's a young 20-year-old coming in, going to try to prove himself. How's Hayden going to handle it? He has to make those decisions. Hard work, perseverance, and, you know, and getting the opportunity on the field. So it just worked perfectly into what's happening in our lives.
That's, you know, and that grit, you know, that mindset, the growth mindset is something that, you know, is very popular in education today, is, you know, how to push through and persevere. So I think those two things align, you know, very well, very well. So I guess talking a little bit more about this year. So obviously, you know, as teachers, this has been a trying time. But, you know, even more so, it's been so exceptionally difficult on students, you know, with the isolation of the summer and then the fall. And even now we're, you know, getting our full classrooms back, and then the anxiety of going from being around no one to being around 20 other kids in a classroom. Have you guys, you know, as a foundation, seen a rise in maybe, you know, or a shift in students seeking more mental health awareness aspects, or younger people in general? How have you guys kind of seen that on your end?
Oh, absolutely. It's the crazy part is we can get the COVID results and numbers right away. But when I've talked to mental health organizations about the suicide numbers, it's 2 years out. It's something, it's terrible because they're not as live as the COVID numbers are. So it's very disappointing. But I know I talked to a sports psychologist last week and out of Baltimore, and he said he has seen an increase, some of his patients coming back, and that he used to see 25 patients a week, and now he sees 35. And I told him, I said, and I'm sure if you could mentally handle it yourself, you could very easily see 50 patients. So absolutely, you're 100% accurate. I feel the number of suicides have increased dramatically, because how can these young people understand when their prom gets taken away, homecoming, the social activities, ballet practice, football practice, whatever it is? How as adults can we explain it to kids? And, you know, and they're like, Mom, what do I do? And I'm like, I don't understand it either. And you just do the best you can to try to explain the situation. And I personally feel getting these kids back into the classroom, getting them back into their activities so they can have some type of a normal life again, it's going to help so much. But I would definitely encourage people and parents to be asking more questions of their kids. Don't assume when they say, oh, everything's fine. That's such a broad statement. And it's, you know, you really need to dive in and say, well, let's talk, you know, how did the day go? You know, I know you were online in classes or whatever the situation is. We need to be more aware and look deeper into our children today, for sure.
No, that's great. And it's, you know, it's tough. That's something that, you know, as, you know, having my high schoolers, and they lost, I teach a lot of seniors, So they lost a lot of their, they lost their junior year, and then all of their normal senior activities in the fall they've lost. Luckily, we do have prom, but it's obviously looks a little different.
Right.
So less people and still obviously all the mask rules and everything. But, that was a major victory, and they were so worried about it. And we had to keep telling them, like, we're trying. It's at some level, it's right. It's up to the state. It's not up to us. So it's very difficult. And, I think more than ever this year, at least for our school, and I'd imagine it's true for everyone, a lot more real conversations with your kids and just saying, this sucks, guys. We're like, we're sorry. Like we're trying our best. And sometimes our best is not what they want to hear. And it's not a good answer for them. And that also feels really tough too, when they want all these things and you can't deliver it,
Right.
because we're still going through it. So it's difficult at times for sure.
Exactly. And just again, for a parent to be vulnerable and tell and share with their kids, I don't have all the answers. I mean, that's like sometimes Hayden, when he's getting ready to do a presentation or whatever, and he'll say, Mom, how can I tell these people what to do? I don't have it all figured out. And I say the same thing as a parent. Listen, you just have to be honest with your kids and said, in my lifetime, we've never had a pandemic before, and we're having to learn as we go. So let's decide as a family together that we're going to keep the communication open and realize that, like, if I get stressed out one day, to be able to say, okay, I'm going to walk away and I'm going to try to do deep breathing or walk outside and look at the sunshine or something to get yourself out of that mindset, and then be able to go back and say, okay, I'm here and I'm ready to listen. And, and just be able to have those type of conversations and not be, oh, I have everything together, I know what I'm doing, because it's not the case. And it's okay for us not to be perfect.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think kids can also see through that a little bit too. So the more open and honest you are with them, you get that in return, I think.
Absolutely.
To that point, being more open and understanding of our students, I saw your foundation paired with the Teaching Heart Institute for SEL and social emotional learning, if you're not a teacher. Have you guys thought about maybe as a foundation sponsoring or creating some sort of workshops that teachers could even attend or access materials to better integrate mental health awareness within our curriculums?
So that's a wonderful idea. The gentleman that does the In Focus social and emotional training, he is a former teacher and a social worker.
Okay.
And the reason he designed the books was because he was in Chicago's school system and he was tired of the school district telling them, well, this is the program you're going to use. And it was very labor intensive, a lot of extra hours of research and information. And the books he has are for K through 8th grade. Mm-hmm. And why we are so excited about it is because it's brain-based, it's neuroscience, and it's a 1-page, 10-minute lesson that the teacher can do first thing in the day. But I also like the fact that you can incorporate it into your daily life. I mean, if the student is getting ready to do math, and I was not the best at math, but I did get through calculus, even in college. But I mean, if I was sitting in a math class and you said, we're going to have a pop quiz, I would immediately stress out. And so the teacher could see that anxiety and be able to say, hey, Cathy, remember the lesson we talked about yesterday on everybody's different. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. So don't let this overwhelm you. Just deal with the situation and, do whatever you need to do to bring yourself back together. Take 5 seconds and let's take this quiz. Mm-hmm. And just having that one-on-one conversation with the teacher is so important. So, and we started 5 programs with schools, one in Baltimore where Hayden played for the Ravens, and then 2 schools in South Carolina where he played college football. And then we have 2 in Atlanta. And this all started with the pandemic. So the books are for the teachers. They're very thin books. They're awesome reference, but it's just teacher driven. There's nothing manuals for the students. And what I love about it is Tom was able to change and do everything online by Zoom calls. And we have had teacher training online, and then provided what we called snack and chats, where these teachers could come to Tom at a certain time and ask questions or say, I really struggled with this. And it's been amazing. And there's also a parent version. So when the kid comes home from school and starts talking about the lizard part of his brain, and I'm going, what are you talking about? And so it's good for the parents. And we're expanding it because we did 2 golf tournaments, one in Jacksonville and one in Atlanta, where we've raised funds. So we're spending those dollars there. But to take it further, what we've done is like, I've gotten outreach with NAMI organization in South Carolina. They, across the nation, NAMI has an ending the silence campaign. And so they're trying to have more conversations with high school students about how they're feeling and have they had suicidal thoughts, because so many people think if you bring that up, it's going to bring up those feelings, and it's not the case. It's opening the conversation. So what I love is South Carolina's kind of going above and beyond. They're going to have, during football this year, they're going to have at halftime talking about suicide. And Hayden is doing a PSA for it. Kim Holinsky from Holinsky's Hope and I are doing one as from a parent's perspective. And then they're going to have postcards and information about ending the silence and resources for them to go to if they have those type of thoughts. So I would definitely encourage, look at national organizations. But, you know, if need be, I would love to get Tom in touch with you with some of your ideas, because maybe that's something. I know he has a newsletter that he has that comes out with great tips, because just as you said, this year's been so different and we've needed so much more help, because here you are, you're trying to teach in the classroom, and now you're taking on more responsibility because you're having to help these kids with their mental wellness.
Yeah, it'd be amazing to do. Amazing to search out the that newsletter and that pamphlet. I mean, all the help is the best. So that's amazing. So we're running a little short, so I don't want to take up more of your time. So what I will say in our few minutes left is, I thank you, one, for taking the time to have this chat. Everything that we can do on our end as our little charity here to help you guys and give you some funding to then, where it goes better than we would know. So I'm so excited for that. I hope that, we can help bring some more awareness to your foundation and really to mental health, talk as a whole. So thank you so much for your time. And I will say, as a fellow redhead, please tell Hayden, keep crushing it for us. He's representing us well. So, it's always nice to see a fellow redhead out there on the field.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and we're working on revamping our foundation website a little bit, and we really want to have more resources and more information about what Hayden's doing and our foundation, because we don't have everything on there that we're working on. And one thing that Hayden is very interested in is being more involved with military and veterans, and because we're losing so many veterans to suicide. So we just keep kind of broadening our scope, but the main thing is just helping these young people realize that, tomorrow's a better day. Don't make, temporary decisions or permanent decisions from temporary feelings. I always say it wrong, sorry. Permanent decisions from temporary feelings. Yeah. That's so important. And just thank you for what you and the other teachers are doing, because my husband was a dean of students for 30 years and worked in education, and it's a tough, tough job, but I know you guys are helping so many students face another day. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was amazing. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And maybe I'll get to bother you again another time, and we can have another chat.
Absolutely. Sounds good, Dan.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.